The information provided is for educational purposes only. By listening, you are not entering a patient-provider relationship, and the information provided is not clinical advice that is to be applied to your specific situation. If you or someone you care about is in danger, call 911. If you or someone you know is being abused, call your local abuse hotline. A number you can call is 1-800-799-7233. Hey, y'all, how y'all doing? Welcome to the live episode. Now listen, let me go ahead and read some of these comments because you guys probably have came already from the pre-recorded interview. Did you guys enjoy that, man? Let's see here. Life Nation says, Shantae says, great show. Hey, Shantae. Hey, Carolyn, how are you doing? How you doing? Hey, Cynthia. Let's see. Oh, hey, my Mo. Mo says, yes, it was. I enjoyed. Great job. Thank you very much, Mo. Listen, y'all, we have a really, really, really good, we have a really, really good show today. I have Dr. Foluso. She's already on. It's going to be good. I want you guys to get your questions ready because we're opening up the lines for you to come on stage with me and ask her anything that she chooses to ask or not answer. So it's going to be good. Before I bring her on, make sure you do me a favor, like, share, subscribe, and comment. If you're watching this, like, share, subscribe, and comment. For the first time, we're actually simulcasting on Dr. Foluso's channel as well. So, hey, over there, skill set people, how are you? My name is Vitor Hill. I'm bringing her on in a minute if you're on watching the live or the replay, all right? Get ready. This is the 7th episode of the abuse series, number 7. Last 2 weeks ago, Shantae Charles was on. Wonderful guest, and we have another one coming, all right? There's an opportunity for question and answering at the end of the show. It won't be long, so I'll be dropping the link soon, all right? I'm going to tell you what's coming up next, and then we'll run a quick commercial break for 60 seconds, and then after that, I'll have Dr. Foluso on, excuse me, all right? The first question we're going to be asking her about how she even got into specializing when it comes to specializing in spiritual abuse. I've never met anyone that specialized in spiritual abuse. And then I want to talk to her about excommunication. Now that's it. Oh boy. No lordy. All right. So this is going to be good, y'all. I'm telling you, it's going to be good. All right. And then after that, we're going to bring you guys on. So you don't want to go anywhere. I'll play this quick 60. It's just 60 seconds. All right. Watch this. And by the time we come back on, I'll have my good guest, Dr. Foluso. I would love for you to join our email community. In the description box of this video is a link. You click it, put your name and email address in the information, press submit, and you are going to be a part of our email community. But guess what? You got to check your spam box because there's a double opt-in. So you got to confirm that you truly meant to sign up. Would you like to be notified every time we go live? There's a simple way to do that. Join our free text club. All you got to do is text V. Hill to this number, 833-458-3658. You just text it. Text V. Hill to 833-458-3658. All right, this is the last announcement, and then we're going back to the content. I am gifted to help people become their best self, and I want to offer you a free consultation. There has never been one person that has had a free consultation with me that did not leave better than when they came, all right? All of that information I just went over is in the description box connected to this video. All right, let's get back to the content. All right. Hey, Dr. Foluso, how are you? Hold on. Dr. Foluso.
Foluso, you got it. You got it right the first time. Yes.
Foluso. Okay. Yep. All right, Dr. Foluso. Hey, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well.
Yes, I've been waiting on this forever, and I'm so glad you're on.
Thank you for having me on.
Oh, well, you're very welcome, ma'am. You're very welcome. Now, all right, we got questions already. So while I'm going to let you introduce yourself, and then I'm going to just ask you a question from the comments off the gate, because like I said, you guys, this is a fireside chat. The professionalism, well, we're always professional, but the more starchiness was in the live interview. We're going to let our hair down a little bit and have a good conversation. So please introduce yourself, Dr. Foluso.
Sure. My name is Dr. Foluso, and I'm a licensed psychologist and owner of Skill Set Counseling, where I focus on, amongst a lot of other clinical concerns, spiritual abuse. So there's also OCD and anxiety
Right.
and some other clinical concerns, but where I focus on a lot is spiritual abuse. My doctorate is in clinical psychology, and I'm a licensed psychologist.
Gotcha, gotcha. And I think that was the part about you that drew me to you was there are many people that are excellent orators, teachers, what have you, on the subject of spiritual abuse. But you being a licensed psychologist who specializes in spiritual abuse, it really made me want to dissect your mind and see it from a therapist's perspective. And I hope those of you guys that watched the pre-interview just at 7:30, that's what you got out of that experience. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, check the comments and I'll put the link in the comments to that interview so you can check it out. All right. Really quick, Dr. Foluso, what is your, somebody's asking, can you discuss DARVO tonight?
I
Are you
sure
familiar
can.
with DARVO?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah. Sure. So it's an acronym for what people. The research actually came from people who were initially accused of like some kind of sexual assault or
Mm.
something along those lines. Of what they would do. What some of these offenders would do is that they would first deny, then attack, and then RV. So D stands for deny,
Uh-huh.
A stands for attack. RVO says is reverse victim and offender. But that doesn't only happen in situations where there's been an
Uh-huh.
accusation of sexual assault. It happens when people are, when there's sometimes, not always, but a power dynamic, when there's an abusive situation. So people who gaslight sometimes do this. We talked a lot about gaslighting when we talked initially, but it's a very manipulative tactic that people
Okay.
use to avoid accountability and responsibility for their actions. And you do
Okay.
see this in spiritual spaces,
Okay.
spiritually abusive spaces
No,
especially.
for those of us who are not in your field, can you give an example for the fifth grade intellect on how DARVO works?
Yes. So, I can give an example perhaps in a spiritual setting. And so,
Yeah.
there could be maybe somebody accuses somebody in leadership of, let's say, mismanaging funds or not being honest, right? And so the person who's being accused, instead of owning up to what they did, let's say the accusation was a legitimate accusation, the first thing is that they would do is they would deny that and say, "How dare you say that?" Even
Oh,
though the receipts are there. And then they start to now attack and say, "Well, how dare you come to this institution? We're here to provide, we're here to take care of you spiritually, and I just feel so attacked, and I work so hard to make sure these finances are where they
oh,
are." And
wow.
then we see the reversal of the victim and the offender. So now they're the victim. And how
Right.
dare and they're saying things like, "Oh, you're just being so awful to me." They might start crying. They might start saying that, "Do you know how hard this job is? And
Oh, wow.
we can't keep track of every single penny. And how dare you come in and make me feel so horrible?" So
Right.
the person who is now making the accusation now is the perceived as the offender and not the victim.
Gotcha, gotcha. So it's like, well, Pastor, we can't afford to do so and so and so. All I've done for the people of God, and I've been in situations like that where we were on the board and we were like, this is not a good time for this. And
Mm.
I've had a situation where the pastor actually threatened to resign from the
Wow.
pastorate if because we as the board decided this is not a good time for that. Well, okay,
Mm.
well, I won't preach no more. Like y'all are
Wow.
feeling, y'all don't have the vision of the ministry. Now we're feeling like, okay, are we not praying enough? Like,
Mm.
how did we become the disobedient, out of joint board members? You know,
Right.
so is that an example of Darvo?
Yeah, exactly. Especially since you started to doubt yourself. That's key. Self-examination is not a bad thing. That's a normal and healthy part of being a human, is to wonder, hey, maybe I could have done things differently. But you'll see in spiritually abusive settings that constant self-doubt where you do something and it can never be right in your own eyes because you feel like you've messed up or you're not living up to some standard. And so when you said you started to doubt yourselves and think maybe because of this um very this outburst by the pastor, you now started to doubt yourselves, and that's not how you want to
Yeah.
trigger a self-examination. It's done honestly and where the discourse between two people is honest and not manipulative.
I love that. I love that. Like true self-examination, as I've heard you say, true self-examination should be done on an honest plane. If the foundation
Yes.
is not honesty, then it might not be true self-examination. I
Right.
think I need to say that again. Did y'all hear that? If the foundation of the conversation is not honesty, what you're looking at might not be true self-examination. It might be deprecation. Yikes. I hope y'all heard that.
Mhm.
Yikes. Okay. All right. I'm going with the flow. I got one more question, and then I got a question for you. Okay.
Okay.
You good? You all right? You
Yeah,
good?
good. I'm good.
All
Yeah.
right, good. All right. What are your thoughts on the number of documentaries being released about faith leaders and spiritual abuse? Should people be in the camera versus counseling? Now, I really appreciate this question.
And I think there's a place for both. Some people need to be in front of the camera talking about what's going on to spread
Uh,
awareness. And there's some people that may find themselves in both positions where after they're in front of the camera, they're getting counseling. But I'm a strong proponent of letting the truth speak for itself. And
mm,
people who, sometimes you'll hear things that when these documentaries come out, that people who are behind them don't love the church or they're on some kind of smear campaign. And
yeah.
while that may be true for some people, if you think about it, you want that institution to be better. And so silence to me is complicity. So if you know about something that's going on and you don't speak up about it, then how many other people's lives are you harming? How
Mm,
many of the spiritual livelihoods of people that you could be compromising by staying silent? You have to think about that too. Now, of course, there's some documentaries that are just out there
yeah.
and they really capitalize on the fears and misconceptions people have about religion. But at the same time, we need to also have our own discernment as viewers and sift
Yeah.
out what is sensational
Yeah.
and what is the truth telling. But I think there is a place for both. People can be on the camera and also be getting the counseling for their own specific needs and hurts.
I love that because I know for me, the camera in my regard has been my therapy. And it wasn't about like, oh, I'm going to say something sensational and those that know me know who I'm talking about, more than it was my opportunity to be free, to free myself, to get it out. I do think that those who take advantage of the camera, like they have no intent on getting help, it's just all about making money or something. They do the rest of us a disservice though,
They do.
because,
You're
and,
right.
and I really, I'm not going to get into that. We talked about that. I think that was episode 4 or 5 in the abuse series. As a matter of fact, the series was called Honesty. Um, um, but I won't get into that now. All right.
Just to confirm,
Oh
you'd
Lord.
like to call Ernest Jones' work.
Oh my gosh. No. Siri took over. I'm so embarrassed. Okay. Nonetheless, for those in my safe space community, that happens all the time. It has never happened publicly before, but we're here. Nonetheless, I have a question for you, Dr. Foluso, before we go to
Sure.
break. Um, you stated in the pre-interview that up under all of your training, you felt susceptible to spiritual abuse. Now, I'm not really
Yes.
asking you to tell your story more than to highlight that so that the listeners or viewers can understand how easy it is to fall into this deception.
Very much so. I mean, I experienced spiritual abuse myself, and this happened while I was training to be a psychologist and am at the professional part of my career. I mean, I'm still licensed, but the point is while I was receiving that training and as I became licensed, I experienced these sorts of things. And think about it, this is my job, this is my specialty to
Yeah.
understand human behavior. And I still didn't really understand what was happening and didn't even
Wow.
have a name for it. And so I say that to say if this was my job, don't beat yourself up for not realizing what
Mhm.
happened until after,
Mm,
because it's very subtle. It's very, the spiritual setting itself can set up many for abuse because we go in believing the best about the people in the institution and the
right.
leaders of that institution. So we're more likely to have to struggle to accept some things that might be going on right in front of our eyes because of the setting, amongst other things.
Yeah, the setting can be deceptive. Not who you're going to worship, but the setting is based on a foundation of truth. So you
Mhm.
really go in it open,
Yeah.
sincere, which is the posture of worship. And then you find out not all churches. And then let me be clear. That's one of my disclaimers. I want to be clear. We are not talking about all churches. We're talking about specific situations and specific churches. You go in and you realize way too much later, everybody's not playing sincere. The example I like to say before we move forward is taking a knife to a gunfight. You're going against sincere and everybody else going to deception, or you're going to lose that battle.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. In fact, I have a video about that, how you can't fight fair against spiritual abuse, and that talks exactly about what you just said.
Hold on. Hold on. You can't do what for?
You
Say that.
cannot fight fair against spiritual abuse. So the rules that we think and we have about fighting fair and how you have to do things this way, you have to throw all that out the window because it just doesn't work. And I'm not saying that people should do unethical things and fight dirty, but I am saying that you have to adopt a completely different mindset. We talked about this before on the original interview about be as cunning as a serpent, but as harmless as a dove.
Correct.
Right.
Correct,
And so
correct.
you need to, these are some things people need to think about when they're in spiritually abusive settings.
You cannot fight fair when dealing with spiritual abuse. So you feel as though your pastor, your beloved pastor, is spiritually abusing you. To go, oh, pastor, I don't want to offend you. I really don't want to disrespect you, man of God. Might not be. I'm not going to say it's not because I want to be fair. It might not be the best approach. Or what about you've been mishandled or touched inappropriately, so you bring another one of the church elders in with you when perhaps that church elder is compromised and had no intentions on being balanced. And you cannot fight fair. Oh gosh, I promised myself I'm not going to, because you got an hour. All right, let's keep on going. Let's keep on going. Let's see what the comments are saying real quick. Thomas Bristow says, wow, great example. Life Nation says, thanks for explaining because it is fairly new term, especially in spiritual spaces, talking about DARVO. Thomas Bristow asks, why is religion such a cornerstone in the Black family? Huh. Do you have an answer for that, Dr. Foluso?
Ooh, that is a multi-layered, multifaceted question. And why don't you go first, Terrell? What do you think?
Oh, not you put me on the spot.
I know, I put you on the spot.
Okay, I believe it's a cornerstone because it was passed down, because there was a time, in my opinion, that all the Black community had was God, this idea of heaven, because earth was hell. And if it wasn't for the inspiration that came from over the pulpit, there wasn't much outside of that. And so that importance of God connection, the family church, the family religion, I think has passed down without explanation. That is my loose opinion on that.
Yeah, I think it's easy sometimes too when when you think about being a minority culture, that some of the things that we associate as this is religion may also be simply tradition. And so sometimes you'll see people rebelling against something because it's like, well, look, I didn't sign up for this just because everyone else is doing things this way. Is this thing my religion? Is this what I believe? Is this what I espouse? So sometimes, like you said, that the inspiration from the pulpit, those are things that held people together and were positive and were good. But sometimes people will feel as if it's lost meaning because it's based so much in tradition instead of individual choice and exploration.
I love that. I remember having a conversation with my mother many moons ago, and I said, Mom, and I don't mean to disrespect what I'm about to say. It was in context to a greater conversation. I said, Mom, I think you all oversold Jesus to us. And what I meant by that was because when they were growing up, that's all they had. Therapy was taboo. Medicine was taboo. They didn't have life insurance. It was my father who joined the military and brought us, the Hill bloodline, out of poverty. So they were still like, you got to have Jesus. That's all you got. Well, now I don't depend on church for therapy. I actually pay my therapist not too much money, a lot of money a month. Okay. A lot of money a month, and then I eat right and I try to exercise. So now my worship is not connected to something that I need to get out of life. more than it is because I innately just want to worship God. But because I don't need it, I don't worship like the past my ancestors worship, because it's not a necessity, it's a desire. And I think that we have to do a better job, those of us that are talking to the generation that's coming after us, and communicating not just the tradition, but the essence behind it. Because I do believe spirituality is very connected to the Black race. So yeah. That's that. Oh Lordy, these comments are commenting today. All right, good. Thank y'all for commenting, because I love it when we comment. All right, over 60% of Black America has faith tradition. I believe that. Life Nation also says they were coming out of a state of oppression and broke away to find their own identity within faith practice with the God of the oppressed. Oh, Lordy. Yes, traditions being passed down from one generation to the next. Falana says this is so sad. Let's see here. Life Nation says we now understand there are more modalities to healing, therapy, healing through talk. Absolutely, because I was taught that you heal through prayer, and to get on Prozac or to go to a therapist was unbelief. It was not faith healed. As a matter of fact, Dr. Foluso, how has the acceptance been in your general Christian community, or since you've come out as a spiritual healer through knowledge?
To be honest, it's been mixed. I feel that, unfortunately, I think that the church tends to be behind with concepts related to mental health. And so I've heard people, get so upset and be so shocked that people are ending their lives within spiritual settings, but not understand that the same people you probably turned a blind eye to when they were crying for help, right? Because you're the same people that will say things like, that any sort of emotional challenge is demon possession, right? And all you need is Jesus. Forget about everything else, forget about therapy, forget about even things that you talked about, Terrell, like self-care, taking care of your body, eating right, things like that. Nope. And so the church, in terms of my experience, I'm not, that I'm not labeling all churches this way, but I feel like they tend to be behind with these sorts of things. And now it's becoming acceptable, to see a therapist, and people are talking more about this. But when I was coming up in the field, I was told point blank that, well, this is the devil's work, and the Holy Spirit is people's counselor, so you shouldn't be taking that place, and just all sorts of other things. And that in and of itself is a form of spiritual abuse. Now, I can't tell you how many people that have talked to me privately about their own mental health struggles or other people's, and how they felt shunned and abandoned by the church, told their faith wasn't strong enough, told they were living too much in the world, or too carnal, or in league with demons, all these other things. And so that in of itself is a form of spiritual abuse. And so there's, I think that it's coming around. Sometimes I've been accused of being not liking the church, or thinking that they're having an axe to grind with pastors and whatnot. And I love the church, and because I love the church, I want to see it at its best, not harming its congregants.
You know what? I was having a conversation with my Lord, I'm sorry, Dad, with my father, and he's probably watching right now. And I said, Dad, I know some people think I don't like the church. And he was like, and I was like, whoa, hold on. The only reason why I'm doing this show, or this entire series, is because the church will always be my first love. And though I might not date, I think I said this on the pre-interview, though we might not date as much as we used to, I always smile and look over there and make sure, is my first baby doing all right? All right, good. And I want the church to be number one in all areas and all fields, and innovation and technology and thought and entertainment. But I believe the church has more specialized in keeping people, because of its lack of progression, it has kept people unhealed, and it's unfortunate. And I want to help, but it's hard, because I feel like a lot of people look at what we do and how we talk and think if we're saying something negative, we're enemies. And it's unfortunate.
It is very unfortunate. Yeah.
I have one quick question. If you're just coming on, this is the after show of episode 7 on dissecting abuse in spiritual settings. I have my very good friend of the show, like Wendy Williams said, the friend of the show, Dr. Foluso. And as a matter of fact, stay on, because if you stay on, she's going to have a very special offer for viewers of this show and Safe Space members. So you want to stay on to the end. And I promised her that we're only going to be on an hour, so we got 33 minutes left, and we got a lot to talk about. Good golly molly. As well, like, share, subscribe, and comment, all right? I'm going to be reading you guys' comments in 1 second. One question, excommunication. I'm said member, and I've been in the church for 10 years. I don't like the way the pastor treated me, and I'm leaving the church, but I'm not talking junk. I'm not being a disgruntled ex-member. Now I go to reach out to sister and brother so-and-so, and they're not answering my phone, and all of my church friends have blocked me on Facebook. Excommunication. Can you talk about that, please?
That's something that really, when I hear about that happening, it's hurtful, because a lot of times when people are in these situations and they leave, they're leaving much more than the church building or even church members. That could be their livelihood. They could have a profession or career. For some people, their church family is their only family, right? Maybe they were seeking that place for refuge. And for a lot of people, it's very hurtful, because they don't understand why maybe that person didn't reach out to them and get their side of the story. Instead, they're just being cut off like that. No warning, no explanation, no way to prepare, get closure. So a lot of people who are in those situations feel like they never have achieved closure, and that can be very difficult.
Right. I've been a part of spiritual communities that I thought we were all friends, and then I had a falling out with the pastor, and no one ever called and said, "Hey, I noticed you're not going to be hanging around a while. Are you okay?"
Yeah.
Because everyone got their information from pastor, and then that was it.
Instead of going to the source and asking what were you?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's unfortunate, and people often will question themselves, question if any of those friendships or or bonds were even real or authentic. If this is how things are going to turn out, you're going to listen to someone else instead of coming to me and asking me what happened.
No, correct. And then when I made up with said pastor, all of a sudden, text messages, phone calls back. I didn't even reach out and say, "Hey, by the way, I'm reconnected." It was like pastor let everybody know, "All right, he's back," and then everybody acted like normal. And
acting like nothing happened.
Nothing happened. It's amazing. All right, we're gonna run a quick commercial break. You guys already know my spiel. It's only 60 seconds. All right. When we come back, all right. When I come back, we'll read more of your comments, and then I have 3 scenarios that I want to run by Dr. Foluso, and I want her opinion on them. And then after that, I'm opening up the lines for us to talk. All right. It's going to be a great show. Don't go anywhere. Right back. I would love for you to join our email community. In the description box of this video is a link. You click it, put your name and email address in the information, press submit, and you are going to be a part of our email community. But guess what? You got to check your spam box, because there's a double opt-in. So you got to confirm that you truly meant to sign up. Would you like to be notified every time we go live? There's a simple way to do that. Join our free text club. All you got to do is text V Terrell Hill to this number, 833-458-3658. You just text it. Text V Terrell Hill to 833-458-3658. All right, this is the last announcement, and then we're going back to the content. I am gifted to help people become their best self, and I want to offer you a free consultation. There has never been one person that has had a free consultation with me that did not leave better than when they came, all right? All of that information I just went over is in the description box connected to this video. All right, let's get back to the content. Hello, everyone. Whether you're watching this on the producer text me, rebuking me, Dr. Foluso's channel, or he was like, Foluso, screaming at me. So, okay, Dr. Foluso's channel, or you're on Safe Space with V Terrell Hill. Welcome. We're having a very potent conversation on spiritual abuse, dissecting abuse in spiritual settings. This is the after show. There was an interview I held with Dr. Foluso that aired just 7:30 p.m. And by the end of the show, I'll put the link in the comments for you to watch that. You will not be disappointed. It was a very potent conversation. All right. Tomorrow, real quick, some housekeeping announcements. Tomorrow at 8:30 p.m., Conscious Culture will be on. What is conscious culture? Conscious culture is the safe space community coming on, and we talk about all things culture from a conscious perspective. And we'll be on tomorrow at 8:30 p.m. More than likely, I know already, I'm going to submit for us to talk about the Lakewood church shooting, because that was very unfortunate. So we're talking about that tomorrow. By the way, I'm Vitriol Hill, a spiritual healer, a soul healer, but I'll talk about me later. Let's get back to my very special guest, friend of the show, Dr. Foluso. All right. I'm going to read some comments real quick. And then, now, do you have any comments on your end?
I'm seeing the same ones you are. I'm seeing, people saying that therapy wasn't talked about their family household. They were told to pray about it.
Okay.
People trying to be a therapist.
Okay, so those are
uh,
the okay. Cool.
yeah, I
I'm
think
gonna
we're
pull
seeing the
those up
same.
then.
Yeah,
Okay,
same.
gotcha. All right. So if any of your hey, if you're watching this on Dr. Foluso's channel, comment and say hey to us. I believe there's about 10 people over there, by the way. So
Okay.
yeah, as I heard, as I was text. So say hi to us. All right. Okay. Where are we at here? Because if I don't read these comments, they're going to fuss at me. The part of the church pitting faith against science, not realizing they're intertwining in distinct roles. Okay, absolutely. I don't think you can have faith without science. I don't think you have science without faith. That's my personal opinion. Yes, therapy was not talked about in my family household. I was told to pray about it. Yes, that comes from a disembodied faith rather than understanding your humanity is a part of our spirituality. That is one of the tenets of my current faith, that I must embrace my humanity. I am a human. I cry. Believe it or not, I cry a lot. I'm emotional. I'm jumpy. I'm very nervous. I don't care how strong I present. I'm a very nervous person. Don't run up on me. It's part of my humanity. It's part of my humanity.
Yeah, it's interesting too, because I have a video on that about how spiritual abuse shames you for being human. And you had talked about this on one of your live streams before, Terrell, about how you can't connect with someone spiritually unless you can connect with their humanity. And
Yes.
what spiritual abuse does is it tells you that it basically wants to ignore or suppress that part of your humanity, saying that, well, it's bad, it's whatever it is. And so when we have human responses, grief, anxiety, the things that you just talked about, things that make us human,
Yes.
that's shame and that's told. Well, if you were truly a spiritual superstar, you wouldn't be experiencing those things. And so a lot of times people who have been through these things literally feel disembodied. They feel that they are
Yes.
heads separates from their bodies and souls. And
Yes.
it can be a very painful experience.
Yes. All of these things, because the first tenet of my faith is belief in self. And all of these things take away the empowerment that one has to use and to will as they please when they take away from the empowerment that one has when they believe in themselves. And so if I believe that is the main function of a spiritual abuser, to cause you to not believe, because in self. Now you can believe in God through me, but you can't believe in God through self. And so one of the things that I push when people are transitioning or redefining God is hold on. Before you go to fasting and praying, before you call a 30-day consecration, how about you look in the mirror and affirm yourself? How about you trust your gut? You come to me with the question, I'm gonna ask you, like, what do you think? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And when people, that's one thing that I get a lot, and I have some videos on that too on my channel about how to trust your gut and your intuition again after spiritual abuse, because that's something that's been robbed of people so many times. They've been told,
yeah,
well, you're too foolish, you're too worldly or fleshly to make any decision for yourself. And so
yes.
basically what you said about God through that person instead of God speaking through you,
Mhm.
people are conditioned to believe that they cannot hear the voice of God or the voice of the Holy Spirit for themselves. It must be through.
Yeah.
And I mean, think about it. The pastor, this is no offense to the way a church is constructed, but they're standing on an elevated pulpit, right? And so even though someone might want one to say, oh, well, I'm not speaking for God, in a sense, we are conditioned to assume that they are. And that's why that leadership role has to be taken very seriously. It's a sacred role,
Yeah.
and not to be used to abuse and say, okay, well, I'm the only voice of God in your life. And you
Yeah.
must, I say,
Yeah.
Jesus came to the world to serve
Yeah.
and give his life, not to control people and say, you have to do what I tell you to do. People
Yeah.
had choices. And so that's why it's so important to recognize when people have been through these situations, things that one might take for granted, like trusting your gut, listening to your intuition, being able to make a decision without constant self-doubt and worry. Those are
Yeah.
things that spiritual abuse robs people of, and it can be
Yes.
and it takes work to get that back.
It takes a lot of work. As someone that was conditioned to think that way, I remember one time standing in Target, trying my best not to call my ex-pastor on, so I could ask him the opinion on 2 blue chairs. And no lie, and somebody might think I'm exaggerating. I spent about 45 minutes in that aisle just looking and looking, as if the decision I was going to make, God would have been displeased if I chose the wrong blue chair. And I would like pick him up, like, no, I will not ask, because that's how disempowered I became, where every decision needed pastor's approval. And someone might think I'm playing, but there are a lot of people out there that was like that guy I was, where everything needed some validation outside of myself. And that's the reason why I teach the way I teach. Yeah. A freed people is hard to enslave and control. Absolutely. How many of them are trying to be there? I don't know, Fulana, but a whole bunch. No more being silent. It's time to talk and have hard conversations. There needs to be an awareness in spiritual abuse. I agree. That is spiritual isolation. Excommunication, the way it is used, is weaponizing faith and putting pressure to conform to abuse. Absolutely. All right. It's a thin line between church culture and cult church culture. Got to be careful. When you have to question your internal intuition, you're in an abusive spiritual space. I don't know if it's a thin line between church culture and cult culture. What do you think? You think that's true, Dr. Foluso?
In some places, it can be. It depends, where we can't paint all churches with a broad stroke, but I think that the potential is there. And I heard this on a podcast once, where if you start to Google whether your church is a cult, that's probably a sign for you to maybe reconsider where you need to be, because we think of cults in these sort of dramatic ways, people drinking Kool-Aid and making, self-harm pacts and things like that. But it's really at the root of it, it's really all about control, entitlement to your time and resources, and controlling those things. And that can look very different. So, we do need to be careful. So I understand in some places that the line could be thin, in other places, healthy environments, it's worlds apart. And that's what I love to see.
Yeah, I love that, because all churches are not the same, and that there are a lot of great churches. One of my safe space members is a pastor out of Johnston County, North Carolina. Wonderful man. My father's a pastor. Wonderful man. Okay, somebody's getting me together. Tell him to pronounce your name properly. I'm sorry. If you listen to my pre-interview, because now I'm embarrassed.
You're fine, Terrell. It's okay.
I'm sorry, but you know what? That matters. So what I'm gonna do is call myself on the carpet, Foluso, because I think that is a sign of respect. So Foluso, because remember I told you I did that before our pre-interview, and I was like Foluso. But what happened was, I've been typing your name so much, like when I make posts, and the spelling of it, for me, I want to say it how I see it now. But my apology, and I apologize to anyone who's offended, because this is.
Thank you, Dele, for looking at as a fellow Nigerian. So,
I was clear. I was clear. Yes, right. And let me tell you, my best friend is Nigerian, and I didn't know you were Nigerian. I knew there was a huge.
Oh, there's a what?
I'm always like very attracted to Nigerians. I knew there was some kind of kinship there.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't born there, but my parents were born there and so came here. Yeah. So
Got you.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. I promise I'm sorry. All right. Oh, y'all are letting me have it today. Let's keep on going. Yes, you have 3 brains: head, heart, and gut. I love that. And if they're not aligned, ask questions. Real quick, Dr. Foluso. Real quick. Help somebody that feel like they're in the middle, right? It's like, I have self-esteem issues, so I always question myself. So I'm not sure if this questioning is coming from spiritual abuse, or just my own lack of self-identity? How can someone know the difference?
And I think the more important question to ask is, how do you work through that? Because it could be both. I think there's rarely anything in life that's 100% due to one cause. And so when people come to me with work on that, I
Mhm.
always tell them to start with baby steps, start small.
Yes.
If you feel, the the practice of listening to your gut and your intuition is punished by the spiritually abusive environment. So that's a skill you lose over time. So you want to regain that by
Yes.
learning to listen again. Think
Yes.
about times, and I have a video on my channel about this as well, but you could just journal about times where you didn't listen to your gut and look at what happened. Think about a time where you maybe ignored something
Mm.
that you should have paid attention to, or maybe, yeah, think about something like that and then just start small, like what you said. And when you were in Target, Terrell, and you really wanted to call your ex-pastor about the blue chairs and you didn't,
Yes.
taking those steps like that and saying, okay, well, you know what? I'm just going to make a decision. I'm just going to see what happens. And even if it blows up in my face, I made the decision, right?
Yeah.
And so it can be hard to tease out both of them, but the most important thing is, how do you move forward and start taking those small steps to listen again?
I love that, because I still have that blue chair to this day. Now I have it at my altar now. I use it as my meditation chair. So but I'll say this. I think how you know the difference is, number one, if you make a decision and you fail, how you're treated and embraced. And if you make a decision and you succeed, how you're treated and embraced. And if you make that decision, how you're treated and embraced will let you know a lot about the people around you. Because the only way to learn is to try and sometimes fail. As a matter of fact, relapse is a part of recovery. And so if you're out here trial and error and you know you're trying your best, even if it's a little best, and you got people damning you for trying your best, you might be very strongly, you might be in a spiritual abusive space. All right. Y'all are doing these questions. I'm not going to end up opening up the lines, because we're just going to keep on answering until 9:30. Yeah, the pulpit is designed that way intentionally. Temples also have elevated spaces, subconscious design. Wow, wow, wow. Cult origin. Now, Shantae knows a lot about cults. Cult origin of the word culture. There is culture, unhealthy versus healthy. Cult origin of the word culture. There is a culture, unhealthy versus healthy. Gotcha. Okay. Can we contextualize decision making when tagged with spirituality as often aligned with insecurities, lack of respect, and knowledge? I'm trying to make sense of these issues and leverage empathy.
Let me make sure I understand the question. Is it, Daly, can you tell me more about what you're asking? Because I'm not sure if I fully understand the question. Looks like
Yeah.
you're wanting to understand decision making, like the spirituality as often aligned with insecurities. Um, so can you clarify as to what issues you're trying to make sense of? That would help a lot.
Yeah, because when I read it, I was like, nope, punt to Dr. Felicia. All right. All right. Carolyn says, I'm working and listening. Great. I love you, Mama Carolyn. Okay, so that's that. All right. What should I do? All right, we're gonna do one example. I'm gonna give her one example. We're gonna wait for Dele to come back with his response, and then I'll run the commercial. And then when we come back, we'll do the last 10 minutes asking about 3 questions. If anybody, they might not want to come on, because I don't want to take your time. All right. Let's see. I'll use example number 3. All right, here we go. Sarah, a new church member, is quickly drawn into a small group that emphasizes total submission to spiritual authority as the key to salvation. The group leader uses out of context scripture to insist that questioning his teachings is akin to questioning God. When Sarah expresses discomfort with some of the group's practices, she's accused of lacking faith and told that her doubts are attacks from the devil meant to test her. She feels trapped, fearing for her spiritual well-being if she leaves the group, but increasingly uncomfortable with its manipulative dynamics. What would you tell Sarah, and what do you call that? Do I need to reread it again because it was a little choppy?
I got it. I got most of it. I mean, it sounds like there's a lot of manipulation going on in there. Something that we want to remember about spiritually abusive environments is that they feel entitled to your time. and your resources. And your resources just aren't, it's not just money. It could be emotional, mental, things like that. And so what I would advise, and of course, every situation is different. And this is just for educational, not, okay, this is what I'm telling you out there in the audience to do. But this is where the not fighting fair part comes in, right? Because she's already in a situation where there's a really big power imbalance. So when I hear things like total submission to a human being instead of God, I start to hear I start to hear or see those red flags rather. And so something that she could do is just start pulling away slowly. I don't recommend arguing and battling toe to toe. Well, let me find you this scripture to show this and this and this. It's a waste of your time and energy, and your resources are best spent quickly trying to find another place to reconnect with and making your exit a low key, smooth, pulling back a little bit here and there and really being quiet about it, because people in these environments, they don't need to control you physically. If they have a hold on you mentally and spiritually, it's going to be very difficult. And I really recommend too, for someone in that situation, making sure you're always talking to people who are not in that environment, because they can give you reality checks and say, you know what, that doesn't sound right. That doesn't sound healthy at all. You need other voices speaking in your ear besides just that one.
I love that. I love that. All right. One comment. I like this. We need red flag, green flag list for healthy culture. Absolutely. Okay. I put the StreamYard link inside of the comments. All right. You guys know I don't hang out long asking. So if you're coming on, come on, because we have 12 more minutes with Dr. Foluso before she has to go, because she told me she has a hard out. I'll be right back. I would love for you to join our email community. In the description box of this video is a link. You click it, put your name and email address in the information, press submit, and you are going to be a part of our email community. But guess what? You got to check your spam box, because there's a double opt-in. So you got to confirm that you truly meant to sign up. Would you like to be notified every time we go live? There's a simple way to do that. Join our free text club. All you got to do is text V Terrell Hill to this number, 833-458-3658. You just text it. Text V Terrell Hill to 833-458-3658. All right, this is the last announcement, and then we're going back to the content. I am gifted to help people become their best self, and I want to offer you a free consultation. There has never been one person that has had a free consultation with me that did not leave better than when they came, all right? All of that information I just went over is in the description box connected to this video. All right, let's get back to the content. Hello, everybody. I have my very special guest, Dr. Foluso, with me. She's a friend of the Safe Space community. We're also simulcasting on her channel. Was it Skill Set? What's your channel?
Yeah, Skill Set Counseling. So if you just tune YouTube at Skill Set Counseling, you'll see it.
Absolutely. I highly recommend connect the video. Why am I getting tongue-tied? In the world? All right, let's try that again. In the video description box connected to this video on Facebook and YouTube, I have hyperlinked her name. If you are a Safe Space member, as soon as this video is over, do me a favor and go over there and subscribe to her channel, because there is a lot of great information over there. I like her videos because they're short, sweet, and to the point, and there's no fluff, and you can learn a lot, because a lot of us are healing from spiritual abuse. As well, at the end, we have a very special offer. If you're watching this today, or you are a part of the Safe Space community, you're going to get a very special gift from Dr. Foluso. Okay. Dele, I'm coming to you. I'm gonna read this real quick. Miss Elmo says, I'm late to the party. Hey, Miss Elmo, we still jamming though. How did I miss a notification of the live? I'm subscribed to the channel. I don't know if you're over here or at Dr. Foluso's, but either way, hi. You know who that is, Dr. Foluso?
I'm not sure, but I think I've seen Miss Elmo on my channel. So hey, Miss Elmo, thanks for stopping by.
Yes. All right. Life Nation says, great job on breaking down spiritual abuse. And that belongs to you, Dr. Foluso. All right, let's read Dele's comment real quick. All right, guys, I got the link inside of the comments. Just scroll up. By the time she finishes Dele's question, if nobody's on, we getting up out of here. All right. Dele says, using spirituality as a cover for abuse is a decision that impacts people. I'm trying to understand and humanize it as I continue to navigate this game of life.
Okay, I understand where you're coming from. So you know, using spirituality as a cover for abuse is exactly what spiritual abuse is, right? It's using spirituality as a way to justify engaging in abuse towards someone else, or just justify the ongoing abuse, and saying, okay, well, it's okay because of these spiritual principles or spirituality or whatnot. And so, when you talked about how you want to understand it and humanize it, I think it's important to understand how we can all fall prey to this. We're all susceptible to this. I have a video on my channel
Oh,
that asks this specific question, like, how do we fall prey to spiritual abuse? And with
mm,
spirituality, there's uncertainty, right? We can't quantify faith and say, well, do you have this much faith or this much faith? We can't quantify or see in physical terms
right.
spiritual concepts. And so with that uncertainty combined with our tendency to believe the best about spiritual leaders and spiritual environments, sometimes even to the point where we may give them respect and trust before it's truly earned.
Mm,
Those are conditions that can make spiritual abuse more likely to happen than we think. And so, as you understand that daily, then you can also use that to understand why people can not only become victims of spiritual abuse, but also abuse others under the guise of spirituality as well.
yeah, yeah. It's unfortunate. And I'm so passionate about setting people free. I don't want to set people free from God. I don't want to set people free from church. I don't want to set people free from their religion. I want to set people free to be themselves. And anything in the way of that is my enemy. And that I hate it. All right. Let's see here. I've been spiritually abused 3 times in 3 years. I'm starting to believe that the church isn't a safe place anymore. Seems to be a place for abusive people to thrive. I don't trust anymore. Wow. What would you say to Miss Elmo, Dr. Felicia?
Number one, I'm really sorry that happened to you, and I'm sorry that you don't trust anymore. That's a completely understandable response, especially since spirituality is sacred for us. This is the place where we least expect to be harmed
Yeah.
by others. And so I would just encourage you to take time to process this. And what we don't, there are two extremes we can fall in. The one extreme is that sometimes, even after we've been hurt so many times, we are so desperate and longing for community, we just jump right back in,
Wow.
sometimes in that same cycle. Right. And then sometimes it can go the opposite end where we become so hurt that we put this shell around us that never comes off. And I definitely understand that we need to protect ourselves
Mhm.
and we need to be wise and discerning. But sometimes if that gets so much that we're isolating from everything
Right.
and everybody, even outside of spiritual environments, and that can become really harmful. So you need to just kind of gauge where you are and make sure that you're not really falling in either extreme. But what you're going through is understandable. For some people, they counseling therapy with a licensed and qualified professional has been helpful in helping them take those steps again. So that's also something that people can consider as well.
Wow, I love. Thank you, Miss Elmo, and as well. Sorry to hear that you've had to experience that. That's unfortunate. Um, one more here. Hold on one second. Yeah. Donald Devereaux, powerful conversation. Spiritual abuse is not always viewed as abuse, but rather obedience to God and godly leadership. Thank you for this very liberating conversation. You're absolutely welcome. Okay. Can you touch on supporting a sibling still enmeshed, with toxic family? It's hard to abandon them given their situation, yet it really dysregulates me. I feel they're more seeking enabling than help. Mm,
Oh, that's a deep one. I mean,
yeah.
you know, eh, when we look and think about issues with enmeshment,
Mm,
that's something that person really needs to work out, because you can scream from today till tomorrow and say,
right.
"Oh, you shouldn't be doing this, you shouldn't be doing that," but that person really needs to experience what they need to experience to realize that this is not the healthiest dynamic. And so the
Right.
best thing you can do, is support but not enable, right? And also make sure that you're not getting drawn in and getting enmeshed into that mess yourself.
Mhm.
You want to make sure that you are prioritizing your own needs and health, and realizing what people can do can't do, will do, won't do. You know,
I
you
love,
need to be able to make those differentiations.
I love. Good Lord, I tell you what, as content creators, because that's who we are, as professionals that are content creators, one of the joys that I get out of this is giving people in a 60 minutes time frame the education to set themselves free. The beauty of this is, first of all, it's evergreen information. And shoot, 10 years from now, somebody that is entrenched in spiritual abuse is going to see this and they're going to be set free and they'll set a generation free. And so I really love this. I really love this. All right. I am so sorry, y'all. I am so sorry. I want to read these comments, but Dr. Foluso has a heart out. Dr. Foluso, I would love for you to let us know how we can get a hold of you. She's going to say this, but I just wanted to let you know in advance. The video description box on Facebook and YouTube, at least on my end, I'm not sure what you put in this box, but if you're on her channel, then you already know how to get her anyway. So for those of you guys that are on mine, as she says this, in the video description is a hyperlink. You can click it and go to her YouTube channel, which will lead you to everything about her. But still tell us how to connect with you, Dr. Foluso, and then tell us
Okay.
about the offering that you're offering the audience.
Sure. So you have the YouTube. My website is skillsetcounseling.com. If you want to book a consultation, I offer free consultations. They're, around 10 to 15 minutes long. You can email me at drfoluso@skillsetcounseling.com, and I'll spell that. It's DRFOLUSO@skillsetcounseling.com. There is a link. You can book a free consultation, but that link is not 100% reliable right now. So I suggest you just email me directly. And it's 1T. So I can put it in the chat too, if that would help.
Yeah, put it in the chat because I'm gonna mess this all up. So let me.
Yeah, no, that's okay. So here's the direct email if you want to book a consultation.
Yeah.
And then this is the email, and then the website is here. Let me just put that in there, skillsetcounseling.com. And then YouTube, and then the YouTube is at Skillset Counseling. And for those of you who are watching, if you end up booking an appointment with me, you get 10% off your first session. So just mention Safe Space with Terrell. Let me know that you were, in there in our live, and that will be there for you. So
I love that. I love that. 10%. I would not be here right now, and I'm not playing. If I was not in, I had a therapy session today, and as I was talking to my therapist, Dr. Foluso, I said something that I had to stop, and because normally I'm living life and don't realize how much I'm growing as a person, not as a teacher or a content creator or a spiritual healer, spiritual soul healer, but as a human. And I said something to her, and she's like, "Hold on," and I'm like, "Hold on." Oh, wow. And it always happens because we get so caught up in life. So even when nothing has gone on, I like to go to therapy because it's my opportunity for the magnifying glass to be on me, and I don't have to share with anyone. It's just about
yeah.
me. And so I highly recommend. Oh, hold on. The queen has commented, my mother. Thank you for being a wealth of information. Thank you, Ma. That's my parents
Oh,
are.
okay.
My parents.
Bye.
Yeah, right. Yeah, my parents are staunch Pentecostal pastors out of North Carolina, but they've always supported, and I'm always appreciative of their support. All right, let me get out of here. Here's what I'm going to say. Thank you for watching. Whether you're on Dr. Foluso's channel or you're on Safe Space with V. Terrell Hill, you were meant to watch this today. You're watching the replay. It's 3 a.m. in the morning. You can't sleep. And lo and behold, you're watching this. It's not by accident. Don't let that voice in your head tell you this is a coincidence. That's not your situation. No, baby girl, big bro, I'm talking to you. Set yourself free. Trust, like one of the comments said, your head, your heart, and your gut, your three brains. All right. And if you feel like you might feel like you're stuck and you need some help, Dr. Foluso offers a free consultation for the first meeting, and I do as well. And I'll put my Linktree link inside of the comments, and I'll make sure that in that same comment, I'll put Dr. Foluso's website, because of course these live comments won't be available. So set yourself free. All right. And if you do that, I'll love you. Okay. And if you don't do that, I'm gonna still love you, but I'm gonna be a little tough on you. Now, I need to give you an invitation. If you've enjoyed this live, you are going to enjoy Safe Space, the private community. All right. We have a discussion board where they can put anything they want. They put anything they want on there. You can DM me anytime. I normally answer right away, but no less than 24 hours, I answer. I have a private live every Thursday at 8:30 p.m. where we have conversations just like this in the private live. I also have a Pentecostal style private prayer every Saturday at 8:30 a.m. And all of that you get for 7 days free. After that, it's just $10 a month. All right. I promise you this. Let me share. There was an example I want to use real quick right here, where one of the original Safe Space members, thank you for sharing, Miss Elmo. Why did she do that? Well, we encourage it. We naturally, innately encourage everyone that puts their foot inside of Safe Space. So just naturally, she starts thanking for sharing, because that's how we are over there. Right now, there's a link that I'm about to put inside of the comments. Inside of the comments, it's my Linktree link, and all things connected with me is there. All right. I think I'm done. So what I'm going to do, don't go anywhere, Dr. Foluso, because after this, I want to holler at you real quick. I'm going to run one more commercial. Oh, these comments are commenting. But I think I saw.
That's okay. If we have a few more burning questions, it's okay. I don't mind answering them.
Well, actually, it was people showing gratitude to you, and I do want to do this. So Thomas says, "Thank you so much, Dr. Foluso. You are amazing." And
thank you, Thomas, and you're welcome too.
My mom said this one already. Life Nation says, "This was great, Dr. Foluso." So
thank you.
Kudos, giving her all the energy. Okay.
Thank you. I love that.
I'm bad with names. I'm so sorry. Miss Murphy says, "Oh, I can't even do genders these days." Last name Murphy says, "Thank you, Terrell and Dr. Foluso. This is helpful info." I really be trying to do it right, y'all. I promise to God. Thank you so much. All right, I'm up out of here. We're going to run this quick commercial. And I'll see you guys tomorrow at 8:30 for Conscious Culture. Where is the commercial at so I can get out of here? Hold on. It's coming. Oh, bye. I hope you enjoyed today's show. I really, really, really want to connect with you, all right? I would love for you to join our email community. In the description box of this video is a link. You click it, put your name and email address in the information, press submit, and you are going to be a part of our email community. But guess what? You got to check your spam box, because there's a double opt-in. So you got to confirm that you truly meant to sign up. So as soon as you sign up, about 3 minutes after, check your spam box and let these people know this ain't spam. Would you like to be notified every time we go live? There's a simple way to do that. Join our free text club. All you got to do is text V Terrell Hill to this number, 833-458-3658. You just text it. Text V Terrell Hill to 833-458-3658. I am gifted to help people become their best self, and I want to offer you a free consultation. There has never been one person that has had a free consultation with me that did not leave better than when they came, all right? All of that information I just went over is in the description box connected to this video.